Welcome to Sean and Chris's weekly voice recap without a title. My name is Sean.
And I'm Chris.
And we are going to be talking about The Voice all season long. This is season 3 of The Voice. If you, sitting right there at your home or on your phone or whatever, can think of a better title than Weekly Voice Recap, we would welcome it. That would be fine.
That would be much appreciated.
We're not clever. I mean, my first podcast was Sean and Carter Have a Podcast. Obviously, I'm not always great at coming up with clever titles.
And I didn't come up with anything better, so we can use your help.
So let me tell you, Chris, the story of how I found The Voice.
All right.
I knew of The Voice, obviously. It was hard to avoid because it premiered to great critical and commercial acclaim. It was very well received, but I didn't watch it. I watched a couple seasons of American Idol back when it was new, and then I didn't like turn my back on it or anything. I just was like, oh yeah, that's a show I used to watch, and I just stopped watching it. Earlier last year, I got sick and I was on the couch for an extended period of time, and there was one night that I was flipping channels and The Voice blind auditions were on. And we'll get into this later, but the blind auditions are when the judges, the 4 judges on the show, have their backs turned to the people who are singing, and they do not get to see what they look like until they select them to be on the show, which is a really cool concept. And it took me about 5 minutes to be like, okay, I buy in. This is cool. And then I ended up watching the entire second season, and I talked about it on Twitter. I didn't really cover it, but that is going to change with season 3. How long have you been watching the show?
I came in, I want to say middle of season 2. And I think some of the blind auditions, but then with time constraints with things and being on away rotations, I didn't have access to a TV sometimes.
Yeah.
Or a really reliable internet connection, which kind of hurt. But yeah, I mean, I got into it because the one thing I noticed is when I was able to watch the blind auditions from season 2 was that all the talent was at least decent to good.
Right.
There wasn't the ones like on American Idol where it's like, wow, this person's absolutely terrible and we're all going to make fun of them.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that much because I'm like, come on, that's not the kind of person I am, so I don't take pleasure in doing that. So it's kind of nice to see where it's just actual decent to good to great singers for all of them, and even if they're good, they don't always make it on the show because they're looking for something special. And I really like that aspect of it a lot.
Totally. I think that American Idol kind of has a we'll take anyone kind of vibe. That's why they end up with their William Hungs and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
The Voice they have auditions that take place off camera, and
right.
You have to submit. You have to get considered by a bunch of producers before they will even consider, because to audition for The Voice, they actually have to fly. You have to get to LA and work out your arrangement of your song with the band and everything. It's a pretty big deal to just audition. So to actually get there, you have to be good.
Yeah.
You get people who are semi-professional, or there are people on there that I've seen on this season already who are known from YouTube, who have done YouTube videos for years, and people have supported them. They already have tens of thousands of fans, and now they're getting a national audience. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that. That's great.
Yeah, I forget which one it was, but it was one of the people on the Wednesday night show that I saw a recap posted, and there was a comment on it that said oh my gosh, I've been watching whatever for years on YouTube. I'm so excited to see her get selected for the show. So Monday night was a pretty good show. This was the 2-hour premiere. The Tuesday and Wednesday night shows were both 1 hour, and they kicked it off with the judges performing, which they like to do from time to time.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the performance. I don't know what you thought about it, but I loved it.
My note says, I never get sick of the judges performing. I really don't. I really like CeeLo Green, first of all. I was in love with Christina Aguilera when I was a teenager, and I own the first Maroon 5 album on CD because I was totally into them.
Yeah, me too. Right from the And I go exactly what happened. I lost my CD one day, and I was really sad and depressed, and I had to go rebuy it like immediately.
Oh, so you're actually one of Maroon 5's best fans.
Oh yeah, I love their stuff. That's like one of the things I listen to still from them. It's just it's so good.
And Blake Shelton, I have very little interest in country music. I don't hold anything against it, but I didn't really know anything about Blake until I saw the show and I like fell in love with him. He's hilarious.
Oh, he's a riot. I love just listening to him when he's cracking jokes. I think it's great.
He's kind of like that uncle at a party who's a little bit cheesy, but everyone really loves him.
Yeah.
That's Blake Shelton.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I follow all of them on Twitter, and he is usually the funniest. He will just tweet the weirdest, sometimes obscene stuff. It's really weird.
Oh man.
So I love their performance. I don't even. What song did they sing? I don't even remember. It was a
You know what?
Rolling Stones
I
song.
didn't even write it down. How bad is that? I wrote everything else down but that.
It was definitely something by the Rolling Stones because I was like, why are they doing Rolling Stones? But I was whatever. It was fun to see them play.
That was great.
So then they kicked off the show with Terry McDermott, a 35-year-old from Scotland, and this brings up one of the points I wanted to make about the show, and that is editing, because there is no way that they actually started the night with a guy who was going to get 3 people to turn around like instantly, which they did.
Right.
This has got to be a guy who was just, I really wonder, like, who was the actual first contestant? And did anyone turn around?
Yeah, for him, it was Adam, CeeLo, and Blake.
Sometimes I feel like Christina has like some standard that a lot of people can't reach, like, because she's Christina.
Right. Yeah, and she just transcends so much with her music that she's definitely looking for a certain type of person. You can see that even when she's trying to pitch it, you can see her like, this is the person I want. This is someone maybe I want.
Definitely. Yes. Yes, I know what you mean. I couldn't help but pour over part of her Wikipedia page in preparation for this. I just wanted to know some things. First of all, she's from our area. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
She's from Pittsburgh, and there is a kid that I went to high school with who had a cousin from Pittsburgh who married her brother or cousin or some relation of Christina Aguilera's, and she was at their wedding. So my like 16-year-old friend had a picture of him with Christina Aguilera at a wedding.
Oh my God.
I know. And back when I was 16, Christina Aguilera was like, wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She's still not bad. I don't get me wrong, but yeah, when I was 16, I had a lot of thoughts about Christina Aguilera. And that's enough about that. So,
right. Moving on.
Terry McDermott was pretty good. He sang a Who song, which I don't think you can go wrong with that. I have my own little personal criteria that I've started giving people a 1 through 5 based on how I personally feel about them.
And based on your tweet, I'm guessing it wasn't a 5.
No, I ended up giving Terry a 3, which is not a real advantage or disadvantage, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was the best. I didn't think he was the worst. I don't know. He wasn't like on the top of my I'd want you list.
One of the things that I constantly think when the judges are picking people is, could this person win? And sometimes when they pick someone, I'm like, why are they picking this person? Because I don't think they can win. Terry McDermott maybe was not. I wasn't thinking that, but some of the people, like the yodeler,
which we will get to. Yeah, we will. That's gonna be a fun conversation because I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion on it.
So after Terry, he got through on Blake's team. Blake, of course, was the season 2 winner. He won with Jeremiah. Damn it! Why can't I remember now?
Yeah, seriously.
Clicking on things. Jermaine Paul.
Okay.
He won with Jermaine Paul last year, and the first season went to Adam, and that season I didn't even watch, so that one I'm Javier Colon. Oh, I totally know that name from pop radio.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the guy who won season 1.
Okay.
So CeeLo and Christina both have something to prove this season, I think, because, I mean,
Absolutely.
obviously only one judge can win a season, but they're the two
Right.
without a trophy.
Yes. Or well, technically it's a banner hanging about over here, if you know what I mean.
From a high school auditorium.
Exactly.
Right. So after Terry was Deborah, and Deborah is one of those people that I think these reality shows kind of attract. She was a very different kind of person. Actually, Alicia walked in at that moment and said something like, "Oh, I like him."
Right. And that's what my Russian foreign exchange students who live here said too. They're like, wait, that's a girl? I was like, yes, that's a girl.
She has a shaved head. She's very
Right.
lean. She was dressed in men's clothing or something that could have been men's clothing.
Right. But the good thing about the show is they can't make a preformed opinion before turning around after hitting the button.
Exactly.
And so what I tried to do, I realized I was getting a preformed opinion already. I was like, wait. So I closed my eyes and listened to the performance to do this one.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just need to take a step back from that.
The show does this thing where when they introduce contestants, usually ones that are going to get through, they give you like a package where they kind of like show where they're from and give them like little samples of where they've been in their career. And that kind of ruins the blind voice audition for you because you can't forget that stuff and you see that first.
Exactly.
So Deborah sang Hey Soul Sister, which is a song that I absolutely hate because I usually hear it 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay.
But
that's a good reason.
Yeah. There are some songs I think I could hear twice a day and still like, but not that one. And
that's one that song irritates me. But if anyone on this likes it, please don't start yelling in the comments. It's okay. I respect what you listen to. I'm just gonna put that out there now. Because I hate when people do this. Like, I hate this song. I was like, well, why are you listening to it then? Like, go away. So, please. It's okay if you like it.
So, for Deborah, CeeLo, and Christina turned around, and she selected Christina. Because, obviously, she's meant to be a diva.
Right. And she picked it because of a song that she liked when she was younger. That was a Christina song.
Right. Christina has a lot of those songs about, like, personal identity and, like, who you really are. And I really liked her. I actually gave her a 5. She's one of 2 5s that I have for the night.
Okay.
I think she could go pretty far. She had a pretty good showing.
Yeah, no, she did really well. I enjoyed it.
The next person was Gracia Harrison. Was this the yodeler?
It is. This is I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart. She did the yodeling.
Okay, so here's what I think you need to do when you're a country artist on The Voice. You can be a country artist, that's fine, but it really helps in your audition if you do not focus on it. Like there were a couple people who were country artists, but they did like a bluesy song or a bluesy version of a country song that I could get behind because it wasn't like so country. Gracia Harrison was so country.
And then some.
And then she yodeled.
Right. I heard she was going to yodel in. I was like, this is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to take this.
And they said she was the first yodeler in the history of the show, which is, I guess, an accomplishment.
Yeah, we can classify it as that.
And everyone turned around except Christina. I think was CeeLo and Adam, did they wait until she started yodeling? CeeLo definitely did.
Adam and Blake turned around first, and they both turned around really early.
Okay.
And then CeeLo turned after the yodeling started.
Right.
Which got him. Which is what surprised me, because I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And the yodeling started. I felt really mixed about it. Because I was like, it's nice mixed in, I like it, but at the same time, I don't like it. It's like, I didn't know how to make it work for me.
I'd say like it was technically fine, like it was good singing
Yeah.
and good yodeling, but it's not something that I think could win the competition. Like I was saying earlier, like how do you make her the voice? It's so many aspects of so many different things, and I'm afraid that she would be too limited to have it. And that's the kind of thing that having such a niche performance as your audition does, because maybe she is very versatile, but I don't know that because she yodeled.
Right. And I mean, how do you? Because obviously she's a country singer, so obviously like you can't yodel in like a rock song. At least I think, but she may prove me wrong. I have no idea how this is gonna go for the rest of it. But it's like for like some genres you can't really do that, so you get really stuck into I'm this and that's it.
And that is one of the advantages of The Voice over American Idol. Again, American Idol has theme weeks, and they will do like particular artists or particular genres. And The Voice, The Voice has decidedly said we won't do that because we don't want to force our artists into particular categories that they can't do.
Right, because then you get the clay. You even saw that on American Idol. Because occasionally I'd stumble upon it, and like I'd be seeing like during one of the weeks, like this person like was obvious great last week and terrible this week. I'm like, well, yeah, they're not this type of singer. Like it's like having me do like building a bridge on a highway. Like we don't want that, you know. So like obviously, if they're a country singer, they're not going to be singing metal music.
Right. Oh man, American Idol theme week of metal music would probably be awesome. Ridiculous. I might watch that. So Gracia chose Blake because she's a country girl, and that's where she clearly belonged. And then after that, by the way, I gave her a 1, but I think that's unfair. It's just because I'm so biased against her.
Yeah, I ranked some people based on, do I really like this person? Do I not really care for this person? And there's some people who I just kind of shoved in the middle. I didn't rank everybody, but like I'm like, this is a middle person where they can kind of go either way, and she's one of them for me.
Yeah. So next up we had Devin DeLaura, and she sang Ain't No Other Man, which is a Christina song. So you got to be like, I get really nervous when people perform songs by the judges. That I can't imagine having the cojones to do that, actually.
And they mentioned that for her song. They said, like, do that song. And I thought she had some pitches. She was in it, but she started with like a strong high note. Then it kind of like had some little pitchy issues. But Christina turned around first in it. So yes. I mean, that was a
once
really
you
good
have that, that's total attitude. Like, wow, I'm made. I got it.
Right. Exactly. It's like, hey, the person's on. I'm singing. Turn around. I have no worries now.
Right. And then Blake and Adam turned around as well, but obviously this girl wanted Christina. That's why she sang a Christina song, so she went with Christina.
Yes.
After she was done, we saw Brian Keith. I gave him a 4. I don't actually distinctly remember him, but I must have liked him. I wrote the note, he had a very radio-friendly voice.
Yeah, I liked him too, because I put him in one of my favorites lists for like breaking down some of the people. So I really enjoyed him too. And he got 4 chairs to turn around.
Yeah, he was the only one of that night that got all 4 chairs to turn around, despite the last guy who I don't know why Adam didn't turn around for him, but whatever.
Yeah.
This guy was good, clearly.
Oh yeah, he was real good. I enjoyed it. Good performance. He got a standing ovation from the audience, which is great because not many people do.
Yeah, I do like one of the things the judges can look at when they're being blind is the audience, because they're facing the audience, so they can see the way people are reacting.
Yeah, and they can really see when people really get into it too, which is always a good thing. Without stage performance, you got nothing, even if you got a good voice.
Right. Yeah. And definitely the stage presence has a lot to do with this, even though it's called The Voice, because it is a lot about, how you perform.
Right. I mean, who'd want to watch me just sing sitting on a chair the whole time? Probably not me. Of course, I don't think many people want to watch me or listen to me sing anyway.
I was just going to ask, can you sing at all?
When I'm by myself in my car, yes. Otherwise, no, because I don't want to have anybody have to listen to that just because. Yeah, it's.
I'm passable, as you may know, because
Oh yes,
I've sung a few times.
yes. I
It
thought it was good.
requires a lot of rehearsal and a song that does not have a lot of difficulty to it.
Yeah, that's like I can do like one song really really well, and then there's like a whole bunch I just can't do because it's that lower kind of grungy pitch from Nirvana that I could do. Other than that, no.
So after Brian, we saw Daniel Rosa. He got a great package because he has been on The Voice before. He tried out for season 2. I can't say honestly that I remember him. I might have come in after his blind audition, but he came out singing Somebody That I Used to Know, which this was recorded probably 2 months ago. So it was still like that song was already overplayed at that point, but he did something with his arrangement that I was like, wow, hey, not bad. Like it was really interesting.
Oh yeah, and like with the package that they showed before too, you can see how he was like really pitchy. Nobody picked him, and then
they
like,
all liked him, but they gave him advice like this is what you need to work on.
And that's what I liked about him because he specifically said, "What can I do better?" And I don't know anybody else has ever done that on the show that I've seen. And
he wanted to know how he could impress them.
Right, and then that's what he does. He goes, he works on it, and he comes back, and his pitch is better. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better. And see, I think CeeLo turned around first.
He did, because he had this huge reaction.
Like recognized him immediately, and was like thrilled.
He like stood up and pointed with both fingers at Daniel Rosa, and Adam looked over at him like, What are you looking? What's going on over there?
Completely confused as to what's going on until they all turn around and see who this person is singing.
And they're all like, "Oh, this kid." So yeah, Blake turned around too, but he did end up going with CeeLo. I don't know if it was because he was the first to turn around, but I actually think that he belongs with CeeLo. I think that was the right choice.
Oh, I do too. I thought that was a perfect choice for him.
I'm not going to really spend much time talking about the people who didn't make the show, but I will highlight the next person that they showed, which was, her name was Anita Antoinette, and she sang the most mournful version of No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley that I think I've ever heard.
Yeah. And that was the one I definitely want to talk about that didn't get selected either, because when she sang it with the music arrangement, it was good. But when she did it a cappella, it was amazing.
Right.
And I was like, why didn't you just do that the first time?
Yeah, I don't know if I've never seen someone try out just a cappella, which is the way that American Idol always does it.
Right.
But she definitely should have considered it. The first thing she said to them was like, if you heard me perform an a cappella, and they were like, well, do it. And she knew it was too late to make the show anyway, but if she knew that she was better singing it a cappella, why didn't she just do it?
Right, because if that's your thing, like, you got to do what's one of the best things you can do, because the idea is to get on the show.
Right.
Because then you get the training where you can learn how to do some other things better that maybe you struggle with a little bit. And I was just sitting there, my skin was like tingling from listening to that one. I was like, because the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, why didn't you just do that? Like, this is amazing.
Yep, she should have. She really should have. And you could tell she was just kicking herself for not doing it. And they told her, come back. Please come back next year. And they're running two competitions a year now, so she'll be able to come back in the spring and try again.
Right.
So after she did not make it, we saw Joe Kirkland of Fort Worth, Texas. He did Gives You Hell, which I just associate with Glee now because that's the only version of that song that I know for some reason.
Okay.
And I settled on a middle of the road 3 for him.
Yeah, I was like middle to upper for him. I thought he did really well. I thought the pitch was really good. He got really good height on it at times, everything. The audience got into the song well.
He's one of the people who I just realized now is already on Wikipedia because he is the frontman of a band, a power pop punk band from Dallas, Texas called Artist versus Poet that I've never heard of.
Me neither.
But I saw his name was clickable on Wikipedia and I was like, wait, this is a real person?
Yeah.
So Adam and Blake both turn around for him, and he selected Adam.
Right.
That's pretty cool when Adam and Blake turn around, because those are the two previous winners.
Yeah.
I want to get those guys to turn around.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they had a whole run of people who are not going to make it on the show, which I like that they're giving those people screen time, but I'm also like, okay, well, just show us more of the people who make it on the show.
Right.
So then they close the show with Trevin Hunt, who
sent listen.
By the way, how old did you think he was before he said how old he was?
Oh my God, that was like, I was like shocked when they said how old he was.
I would have said he was 25. Easily.
Yeah, I think I pegged him around 22, 23.
He's a big guy. He kind of
Yeah.
looks like it could be a football, like a lineman or something.
Right.
And they asked him, how old are you? And he goes, 18. And they were like, what?
Yeah, and I'm like, my jaw like dropped, like, no way, come on.
So he sang a Beyonce song, which was kind of cool to begin with, that this guy is singing a Beyonce song. And then also he like nailed it.
Oh yeah, he's on the top of my list, that's for sure.
He was my second 5 of the night, along with Deborah.
Okay. Yeah, he was great. I cannot believe that Adam did not turn around.
Adam didn't turn around, and they all jibed him for not turning around.
Yeah, he really should have.
But this guy was great. The package definitely showed that he was like a very sincere guy. I don't mind that the packages kind of give you a feeling of what their personality is like, even if it is like severely like egotistical or severely sympathetic. But
yeah,
this guy I think it was pretty spot on. He's a very genuine kind of person.
Yeah, I really liked him.
And this was one of those instances where I was like, now, did he actually close the night? Because he's amazing. Or did they just edit it that way?
Yeah. Because it was just such a good performance. It was such a good way. Like, to end the show that way was amazing.
So he selected Team CeeLo. He was. They all got 2 members the first night of the show, and he was CeeLo's second.
And then we move on to day 2.
On day 2, we opened with Adriana Louise Figueroa. That is a very Latina name, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And my wife heard people at work talking about the show, and when she came, because she missed this episode. I actually missed this episode when it aired. I had to watch the thing online. When she heard people talking about it, she said, people said the girl who opened the show was amazing. And I was like, well, everyone did turn around in their chairs, but I don't know. She sounds like most of the pop female artists that I hear on the radio at this current time, which for me is not that exciting, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it was good sound, nice rock sound in her voice. You can see the passion in her. She commanded the stage well, but I was like, what do I see different?
Right. Yeah, she sang I always confuse this person with Katy Perry. I can't think of her name. Jessie J. She sang a Jessie J song, and she sounded basically exactly like the original, which I was kind of surprised everyone turned around, because this was the only one of the night, and they all really liked her. She's got looks, but they didn't know that before they turned around. So right. she's got definite stage presence, a good look. I think her voice needs some more individuality to succeed, but
yep.
Clearly they liked her, and the audience did too.
Yeah, I thought she did okay.
After Adriana came Casey Music Man, and that's Musig. They kept saying it like it was actually Music Man.
And that's how I wrote it down at first. And then I saw his name come up. I was like, wait, that's a weird spelling.
It's Musig with a G. It's like German. It's like Music Man.
It's definitely an interesting spelling.
So he was a wrestler. His package showed us that he was like a high school wrestler, and when he started in college, he I don't want to get into the gruesome details, but
he hurt his meniscus. We'll leave it as that. Because even him describing it made me cringe, and really not much makes me cringe because of the field I'm in.
Yeah, Carson Daly was doing the interview, and he was like, ugh.
Yeah, it made me like, I'm like, oh.
So that limited his ability to perform physical feats. He gained like over 100 pounds and like fell into kind of a real downward spiral until he decided to re-pursue music, which was something he had been interested in but never really pursued. And he came on as a country boy. He's got his cowboy hat on, and he sang Sweet Home Alabama, which of course got Blake's attention. Like as soon as Blake hears like a Southern rock or a country song playing, he's like, okay, I should pay attention to this because this might be my team.
Right when it started.
Yeah.
I think didn't he say he heard the boots coming across the stage too?
That's right. He did.
Yeah. He's like, I hear boots. I was like, what? He's like, I hear boots. I was like, okay, he hears boots. And then it started.
Blake's ears are trained for that.
His eyes like pop. He's like, okay, what's he gonna do? Because he's like all set now. He within 4 notes, he knew the song and everything. He's like ready to go.
And Casey, I think he really kind of nailed it. Sweet Home Alabama is probably it's a little overplayed, but he did fine with it. He kind of did his own thing, and I ended up giving him a 4, despite his country origin that I hold a bias against. I actually wrote that so far I watched this show after the Wednesday show, so I wrote as my note on him that he had the best country sounding voice that I had heard.
Yeah, it was really good. I like, because it had a little bit of a rock feel to it too, which was amazing.
Yes, I think, yes, definitely.
And that really sold it for me. I was like, wow, this is like I really, and I know it's a good song when I'm sitting there with my computer in front of me, like just taking some notes and stuff to help prepare for this, because it's a lot of people to cover. And instead of doing that, I had set the computer down next to me and leaned so far forward in my chair that I was almost off of it, because I was like, wow.
Nice. So you were really sucked in.
Yeah, I was like, this is like incredible. I was like, you guys gotta come listen to this guy.
Yeah, he was good, and he had a good stage presence. He got the whole crowd fired up, and Blake saw that and really liked it and kind of pleaded with him to choose him over CeeLo. I don't think CeeLo stood a shot with this guy.
I don't think so. I didn't think so either.
So he chose Blake, which is great. And following him was Aquil, which my wife made fun of his name for some reason.
Right. And my initial reaction, as soon as I saw it came up as your song,
I
immediately tweeted you.
Which I figured out later.
Right. Because I was like...
The next day I was finally like, oh, now I know what he was talking about.
Yeah, I was like, of all the songs, I go, Sean's going to be more critical. I was like, I grew up listening to Elton John because my parents loved Elton John. That was what I grew up with Elton John. My dad listened to the Beatles all the time.
Wait a second, are your parents my parents?
No way. After this we're gonna talk about this because I want to know what your favorite Beatles CD is and everything now.
We're gonna have a whole separate after hours podcast that you guys won't get to hear.
Right, it'll just be our little private conversation. Now I'm curious, because that was what I grew up with.
So Aquil comes out singing your song, and I thought he did a really good version. I was comparing it in my head to Ewan McGregor's version from Moulin Rouge, which is pretty awesome. And I will actually link dump that. If you've never seen Moulin Rouge, at least watch the scene to hear the way he sings the song, because it's completely different from Elton John's. Completely.
Yeah, and it's really good.
Who knew that Obi-Wan Kenobi was such a good singer?
Yeah, right?
So Aquil really nailed this. Blake didn't turn around. I guess he was still coming off the high of the country singer. But Christina, CeeLo, and Adam all turned around for this guy, and rightfully so. I gave him a 5. He was my single 5 of this night.
Yeah, he was my favorite of the night, too.
And he chose Christina Aguilera, I think because she was flirting with him.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of the reason.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, seriously. And just that the crowd went wild at the end of his song was just that showed how good it was.
Yeah, very good, solid performance. he seemed very confident, which is nice. Sometimes the people who are too young get really nervous. He's 24. He's had a little bit of a career, and he seemed very natural.
Yeah, he seemed like it just kind of worked for him without a problem.
Then they had a whole run of people who didn't make the show, so I'm just going to ignore them, except for that one person singing Poker Face sounded awful. How did she get on the show?
I have no idea.
It was bad. And then they came to the youngest guy of the night, Mackenzie Borg, who they told this gut-wrenching tale about how he almost died.
Right.
One of those things that I'm kind of like, all right, lay off.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to keep emphasizing that throughout the season? Like, he almost died.
Right. And then you go to the other extreme, which is me, where I'm like listening to this going, they diagnosed him with what? Okay. So that means maybe he had this or this or this. And like my mind just went into the whole medical aspect
You
of
pull
it.
out your medical journals and start researching.
I wrote down exactly what he suffered from. I was like, I wrote down, then I'm like, look at my notes later going, what's that matter for the podcast?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I showed his performance to my wife, and I mentioned like, oh, they said he had something that almost killed him. And she was like, what was it? And I was like, I don't know, something.
In case anybody's curious, he had a viral myocarditis, which means he had a viral infection of his heart muscle.
Okay. Good.
So
that's been established now.
Yeah. So now everybody knows, because when they said online, I was like, when they said it live, I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to know what that term means. And since I do.
That's why you're here to educate us. We need
Exactly.
the medical side of the voice.
It's an infection of his heart muscle itself. So that's, it's like having an infection of the part that pumps your heart is what it is. So
yeah, he suffered heart failure first, and then I think they said they had to put him in a induced coma just to figure out what was wrong with him.
That's a bad disease. It's not a very common disease at all. So he had a rare bad disease, and he survived. That's great.
Yeah, he survived. He's young. He's not even 20 years old yet. And he came out and played Pumped Up Kicks, which Blake recognized in the first note. He was like, ooh, Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. It was like, he was like, all of a sudden, I was like, I know this song. I was like, all right. I know this song too. I was like, let's see what he does. And I thought he did pretty well. He had some issues in the middle, I thought.
Yeah, I think his youth is probably his one detriment. Like, he's not experienced enough.
Right, and it's not an easy song, but
yeah, he took some risks with it and kind of did like some fun. Like he's got like this vocal style that's kind of like a little screechy, and I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to watch it, but he did like little things with it that I was like, that's not bad. That seems like he's got some interesting ideas.
Yeah, and I think that's what got CeeLo to turn around too. It was like he saw like this kid has like a lot of potential.
Yeah. And CeeLo, this was one of the only ones out of all three nights that only a single judge turned around, and it was CeeLo, so he's on CeeLo's team.
And then we get to the next interesting first time ever on The Voice with Julio Cesar Castillo.
That's right. Julio is a mariachi singer, I guess, in his... was that his primary job?
That's what he started with. I think he still does that, if I'm not mistaken. And he sang La Bamba in Spanish.
Yep.
The whole thing.
The whole 90-second version that they allow him. But yeah, all Spanish.
And I thought it sounded great right from the beginning. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, he definitely sounds, despite he's young too, he's 21, he sounds very experienced. He sounds like he's been performing for a while. He had a lot of control.
Yeah. And then he actually sang a mariachi song after, because they asked him to do one.
Yeah, they asked him what he did, and he said that's what he did. And they were like, and I think CeeLo was like, let's hear some mariachi. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, and he just did some mariachi. I was like, wow, that's really good too.
Yeah, he just knocked out a little bit of a cappella, and that's when I was like, wow, yeah, he's got control of that instrument there.
Yeah, that was impressive.
So he ended the night, and Adam did not get anyone that night. CeeLo got one person, Christina and Blake each got two. So then we arrive at part 3, night 3. I still don't think they're actual nights. I think the judges wear the same wardrobe for like a week in a row so that they can cut all these things together the way they want to.
Right.
which is fine. That's the magic of TV, everyone.
Exactly.
If only they knew how I made my YouTube videos over several days sometimes. It just blends together. No one ever knows.
Not a single soul until now.
So the first guy out the gate was Samuel Morton. He sang, I don't know what's with the popularity of Bob Marley this year, but he sang Redemption Song. And he was a really young dude. And the judges were totally right to assume, I think, dreads.
Oh, I would have too.
His voice just sounded like
He sounded reggae. It was great. And I'm like listening to, and then they turn around and like it's like this white kid in a baseball hat, and they're like,
it looks like
wow.
a typical American teenager.
Yeah.
He's just a white kid in a baseball hat.
And they're just shocked when they saw that.
That's one of those awesome aspects of this concept of the blind audition, that reaction from the judge, like, whoa.
Yeah.
So Adam, CeeLo, and Christina all turn around for him, and he selected Adam.
And then we moved on to Nelly's Echo, who sang Ain't No Sunshine.
This guy, I liked his... They gave us a little preview of him, like, before they went to commercial or something, and I was excited, because I saw him holding the electric guitar, and they said he was from Nigeria. And I was like, this is going to be, if nothing else, interesting. And he was really good. I really liked him.
Yeah, I did as well.
He's 32 years old, so he's probably one of the oldest contestants that they have. He seemed very comfortable on stage.
Oh yeah, and he did really well too with playing the guitar while he did it, because I know it's tough to do that.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Mackenzie, who played Pumped Up Kicks, was playing acoustic guitar.
Right, I forgot to mention that. Yeah,
he was fine, but he did not seem completely natural at it. This guy he was just like, this is what he does. He plays guitar and he sings.
Yeah, it was so nice the way that just all went together, the way he did it. It was a great performance.
Yeah, and Ain't No Sunshine, I think, is one of the most covered songs ever. Like, it's up there with Yesterday. Like, everyone does a version of this song. And he somehow managed to do his own thing with it, and I thought it was really good. So Adam and Christina both turned around for him, and he selected Christina. I kind of wish that he would have selected Adam, actually.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting him to pick Adam, too. And then he picked Christina, and I was like, okay.
I would have been fine with Adam or CeeLo, but CeeLo didn't turn around, and he didn't pick Adam. So that's okay, but that means in battle rounds, he's going to end up going up against divas and the type of people that she chooses, and that makes me kind of nervous.
Yeah.
Battle rounds are a very interesting concept as well. I'm excited for that. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
After Nelly's Echo, we got the only duo that we've seen so far, two Steel Girls, which, if you can't get from the Steel thing, they're country.
Wait, really?
And not only are they country, but they're actually a mother-daughter duo. They're actually part of a family band, but the way that the rules on The Voice work, it was just the two of them because they're the singers.
Right.
And I also noticed, I don't know if it's because we have a mother involved, but the Wikipedia article does not have their ages listed.
I noticed that.
Because I was actually wondering when I saw Nelly's Echo was 32. I'm like, I wonder it doesn't even say how old she is.
Yep, they give us no information on that one.
I was kind of wondering that while they were performing, because I think when they told the judges that they were a mother-daughter duo, the judges were kind of surprised.
Yeah.
They're sitting like, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet away. They did not realize that the one was mother of the other one.
Yeah, it was interesting. Even when they were singing, like, you heard them do it individually, and they were both really good alone.
Yeah.
And then when they sang together and, like, they hit this one part together towards the beginning of the song, and, like, you just saw all the judges perk up all of a sudden, like, there's two.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought they sounded really good.
Yeah, as far as female country artists go, they sounded up there with the best of them. I think that the mother actually sounded better. She sounded really strong. She definitely had control.
Yeah, it was a really good performance.
And Blake, of course, turned around, and so did CeeLo, but This is one of those ones I don't think CeeLo really stood a chance, and they went with
Yeah.
Team Blake.
Right. And according to what they showed you quick with the next couple, who they didn't actually show a lot from, they just said, here's the people. They sang like a snippet of it. You saw like the downfall of CeeLo that night,
Right.
with not getting people for a while after that.
He had a whole run of people who passed over him for another judge. It was kind of sad.
Yeah.
After the two still girls, we saw Lisa Sinta, who sang Teenage Dream. I think she was one of the people who we saw like 10 seconds of.
Right. Yeah.
I was just like, okay.
Chose Christina.
She was Christina, and then the next one was the same way. We only saw a couple seconds of. Her name's Marissa Ann. She is the youngest contestant so far. She's 15. She sang another Katy Perry song, Part of Me, also Team Christina.
And then Lauren Alfred, who chose Adam. And then she sang When Love Takes Over. And that's like all we got from her.
These three people, we saw 10 seconds of each. We'll hopefully see more of them in battle rounds. I hate when they do this, especially since they showed clips of people who didn't make it on the show. I would have rathered that they showed 30 seconds of each of these people instead of 10.
Yeah, because now coming in, when the other person comes up against them, I'm like, well, I don't know this person.
Right. It gives you this preformed opinion because you don't know anything about these certain contestants.
Right.
But I think it's because they wanted to devote more time to the next contestant.
Right.
Damo. D to the O to the M to the O.
Yep. That's it.
She was a lot of attitude, but it was kind of nice. Before they went to break at the one point, they showed Christina Milian, who I constantly forget is even in the show because she's barely on it until they get to the live performances. And she was admitting to Christina that she was nervous and like it was all front. And I was like, thank goodness, because she was just over the top.
Yeah, she was. Wow. That was I'm curious how you feel about her because I'm guessing I'm not going to feel the same way.
I gave her middle of the road 3, and my comment under her is oversell much.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it was. I thought she sounded good, but I don't know. For me, it's not somebody I would have hit the button for her. But because I don't know. It was just there's something about it. I'm like, this is not one of my favorites by any stretch, but I was like, I'm okay with it, but it just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't my kind of thing.
Yeah, she sang Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls, which I did not realize was a song that was actually written by CeeLo. Did you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that kind of blew my mind. I've forever just associated that song with like bad pop music, but apparently CeeLo actually wrote that song. So my bad, CeeLo. I like you.
Yeah, I had no idea he did that. So, and then when he turned around, I was like, and then I find that out later. I was like, okay, well then I see where this is going. So.
Yeah, he was the only one who turned around, and I think the other judges were perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
They were all kind of like, you handle that problem.
Yeah, and Adam told him that he was going through heat.
Yes, that's right.
That was probably the one of the more weird parts of that when you watched him. He turned around pretty early, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it didn't take him long.
And you all of a sudden you just saw him watching that he's getting into it. And you see him put his finger in his mouth, like, "Oh, CeeLo, whoa, man!" I was like, "Time out."
So thank goodness they did not choose to close the show with her because I would have been upset. They closed with this sort of hippie. I think she even called herself a hippie. Her name was Nicole Nelson. And she, along with Nelly Zecco, was a 5. She was my second 5 of the night. And she sang Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, which that is kind of a risky decision because of everything that goes with that song. Because it's just, it's Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. Like, you have to be careful.
Like, classic. Like,
and everyone does it. And if you don't do something to make it your own, you're just going to get lumped in with everyone else who does a bad version of Hallelujah.
Right. And she nailed it.
She totally did. She was the only 4-chair turnaround of the night. And it was great. She brought the house down.
Yeah, it was it was the only performance in all the performances that I wrote down stuff for where I actually used an exclamation to talk about her performance.
You wanted to be clear, you were emphatic.
Yeah, I was like, I had to make sure I wrote down, like, I put definitely one of the best performances so far, exclamation point.
Yeah, this is one of those people I would say could win the competition.
Oh, absolutely. She was just like, you just feel it when she was singing it. Like, it just sucked you right in. It was another one of those ones where I got to the edge of my chair and got as close to that TV as possible to watch it. I was like in just awe over her, how she did that song.
And I would say, just like Trevin, she seems very genuine. And I mean, every hippie that I've met is like this. She's just a very friendly, open person. She doesn't front like Damo does. She's just very natural. And it seemed like she was almost unaware of how talented she was. She seemed very modest about how she performed, and she was surprised when other people told her that she could sing so well.
Yeah, and she can sing.
So all four turn around. She chose Adam after saying one of the funniest things. I actually wrote it down. She said the whole crowd is screaming names at her of who to choose, and she's just staring at these people, and she goes, "This is impossible. How do people make this decision?"
Right.
When you get those people to turn around for you and then plead for you to be on their team, that's just insane.
Yeah.
That's like celebrity turned upside down. That's got to be a cool feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because Adam turned on first, and then there's a gap. Then all of a sudden, the last three of them,
you're right.
Half a second hit the button of each other.
And she's definitely worth having on your team. Adam emerged the clear victor in this one.
Yes. Last performance of the night.
Yep, that was it. And that's going to do it for our first weekly recap of The Voice. Next week, there will be shows on Monday and Tuesday night. I think, I say with slight hesitation, but I'm pretty sure I will be home and watching. Yeah, I'm checking my schedule. Yes, I will be watching them live. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can expect to see a couple opinions reflected in my Twitter feed.
And if you follow me on Twitter, which I'm sure none of you do, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, go follow me on Twitter.
Link will be in the info.
Yep. I also tweet about the show live when I'm watching it live. And usually I'm tweeting back at Sean with his opinions, like of the first person who sang on the first night.
Yep.
I think we both agreed on that one fairly quickly.
So if you watch next week, make sure you check our Twitter feeds for all of our updates and look for another episode of a weekly voice recap next week on some day that I'm not sure of yet. Very professional here.
We got this.